It's Ash from Super Videos, back for another trailer breakdown for The Walking Dead. This is going to be my trailer breakdown for the back half of Season 9 of The Walking Dead. This trailer is called New Enemy, which is very fitting of the storyline we're getting into. Now, one thing I quickly want to say about the last episode is that I enjoyed it a lot. It was very exciting, very intense, and I think it was a great way to introduce the new villains. Of course, I will be doing my review sometime this week, so stay tuned for that. I don't know if it's going to be tomorrow, but I will do it sometime this week for sure. And I also have a couple more videos lined up this week as well. But let's just jump right into this trailer breakdown. So the trailer starts with this shot of the group traveling back to Hilltop. We have Daryl on the motorcycle. We have Michonne. We have the other members of the group in the background. We have Aaron all the way in the back as well. But what's interesting is that they have a prisoner. They have someone that's on the horse. They have their hands tied. They have something on their eyes to stop them from seeing where they're going. So there's a prisoner there. So one of the new group members from this new villain is with them as a prisoner. And going with the comic book material, we can say that it's Lydia from the comic book who will play an important role coming up, and I'm sure they're going to connect the rest of our story with Henry as well. I don't want to dive into that too much just in case there are non-comic readers, but there is definitely a prisoner that they're bringing back, and most likely it's Lydia from the comic book. And we will see more scenes later on in the trailer that do kind of connect to this scene here, which I will talk about as we get there. Next, we have this shot again of the group traveling back. We have Yumiko and Aaron. We have a voiceover from Aaron saying what happened. Maybe that would have happened anyway. So referring to what happened to Jesus and, you know, the fact that he got stabbed and died, which I absolutely loved the way they did it. Then we have this shot of people at Hilltop. Of course, it seems like they're burying Jesus. There's a lot of other bodies that have been already buried. I'm sure that's from the past. That's nothing new. Most likely, Jesus is in the casket, and we have in the voiceover Aaron saying, but now we know there's a new enemy, which connects to the title of the trailer and also the new storyline, because of course, we are introduced to a new villain called the Whisperers. So the new enemy is called the Whisperers, so that kind of fits that. Next, we have this shot, which goes back to the end of last episode, where we have the group just standing there, with Jesus, of course, dead on the ground, and there's more whispering, there's more walkers, whisperers approaching them. We have Aaron, Magna, and Yumiko, and Eugene, I think, in the background, behind the fence, and we have Yumiko shooting at the walkers / whisperers, and we also hear from the whisperers some whispering saying, "You die now," which is absolutely creepy and insane, but I love it. Then we have Michonne as well there, as well as Daryl. They're kind of together, and this is a continuation of the scene that we ended with in the last episode. Then we have one of the Whisperers bringing up her sword as if she's going to stab Michonne or slice her head. We have more Whisperers in the background as well. Now, this is most likely a Whisperer called Lydia, which we talked about earlier in the trailer breakdown. And I think this is a direct adaptation of issue 134 from the comic book called From Whispers to Screams. And like I said, most likely they're adapting that scene from the comic book. And of course, in that scene in the comics, we have Jesus and some others taking one of the Whisperers as a prisoner, bringing him back to the community and basically trying to learn more about who this new group of people are. Now, of course, Jesus is dead. Rest in peace, Jesus. So that's most likely going to be Michonne in the show. And of course, that matches with the scene that we have in the show from the trailer, where we have Michonne just about to be stabbed, but maybe she injures Lydia. Most likely that's what's going to happen. Or someone's going to stop Michonne from killing Lydia. But I think it makes more sense for Michonne and others to kill the other Whisperers in the background and maybe injure Lydia and take her with them, because she's right about to slice Michonne's head right open. So it doesn't make sense for Michonne just to not do anything. Maybe she dodges it and kicks Lydia and injures her that way and takes her in afterwards. Or maybe they actually injure her by slicing a part of her body. Not like completely cutting her arm or feet or head, but taking her alive and taking her back in to Hilltop in pretty good shape. Then we have this shot of another Whisperer in the woods. This is absolutely creepy. Reminds me of the girl from The Ring. It's just creepy as hell. But I don't think that this is Alpha or Beta or Lydia. I think this is just another Whisperer. Then we have this shot, which is creepy as hell as well. We have Alden and Luke. They're kind of looking around the woods. And we have a Whisperer just chilling in the background, watching them, which is just freaking creepy. I think that might be Alpha. It could just be another Whisperer, but I think it's possible that it's Alpha. Then we have this shot of some Whisperers watching Hilltop. They're basically monitoring Hilltop to see what's going on in the community, to see what this community is all about. And I think what most likely happened is they took Luke and Alden as a prisoner as well and brought them back, or made them spill the beans about where their community is from and threatened them. And it makes a lot of sense because Lydia is a prisoner there. This group of people want to go back and get their group member back. You know what I mean? Knowing the story from the comics and the connections, we know the leader from this new community, who's Alpha, who I just talked about, who we will see later on in the trailer as well, is very much connected to Lydia. They're very close. I don't want to reveal that relationship for those of you that don't know about that, but there's a big connection there. And I'm sure Alpha, knowing Lydia as a prisoner there, would want to go and bring her back. So we have the Whisperers spying on the Hilltop, and most likely they got some information about this community and knew how to get there because Luke and Alden have been taken as a prisoner as well. And just another thing, this is actually a direct adaptation of issue 136 called Found. So it's a direct adaptation of that. And in the show, I think they're doing something different. So they might have some prisoners with them, and their leader, Alpha, might be with them as well, which is very cool. And then another shot of them just kind of looking at each other. Then we have this shot of more Whisperers going towards the Hilltop. So it seems like they're making themselves known and they're not just spying or hidden all the time, which is a slight remix of the storyline from the comics. But we have this Whisperer here who doesn't have a mask on, but they're bald. And I think we're safe to assume that this is Alpha, the leader of the Whisperers. Of course, the leader of the Whisperers is called Alpha, and I'm sure that that's Alpha, and there's more Whisperers, and they're basically at Hilltop. Then we have this shot of Lydia. Now, it's interesting because first I thought she was talking to Henry when I saw this, because of course Henry is in the cell, Lydia is in the cell, and if they're going with comic material, that's what's going to happen. Because of course Henry is taking on Carl's comic storyline, and so there's definitely a scene between Carl and Lydia in the cell in the comics, and I think they are giving that to Henry and Lydia in the show. So I thought that this is Lydia talking to Henry, but maybe I'm wrong, because it seems like maybe this is Lydia talking to Daryl. Now, I'm not saying that they're gonna give Carl's comic arc to Daryl and have Daryl and Lydia have the thing. That's definitely not gonna happen. It doesn't make sense. But I'm just saying that we might see scenes between Lydia and Daryl as well as Henry and Lydia. But this in particular, I think, is Lydia talking to Daryl. Lydia says more like us than them. Going back to what I said, Lydia's talking to Daryl. So she's saying, you're more like us than you're like this group of people. So join us. You know what I mean? So she's trying to welcome Daryl into their camp, into their group, into their lifestyle. And then we have another part of her discussion saying, you don't belong with these people, which goes back to what I just said. But the don't, when she says it, is very silent. So I'm kind of assuming that's what she says, but it makes the most sense because it connects with what she just said before. So I think this is, again, her saying, you don't belong with these people. You are like us. You belong with us. You should become a Whisperer as well. Then this is what I was talking about. We have, of course, Lydia in the background, but we have Daryl. So it seems like Daryl is listening to Lydia. Then we have this scene, which is absolutely epic. We have a herd of Whisperers behind the gates, and we have Daryl approaching the gates. And of course, this is at Hilltop, but we have Alpha and more Whisperers at the Hilltop. So going back to what I said about the person with the bald head, this is the same one. And of course, if you look very closely, you can see they don't have a mask on and they have a bald head. So this is Alpha and more whispers at the hilltop. So very interesting. Again, like I said before, this seems to be a slight remix of the comic storyline because we didn't see anything like this in the comic book. Now, it's very cool that, they are using the enemy behind the gates scheme. They used that in the comics with Negan and with another group in the comic book that was adapted as the Wolves in the TV show. But they're doing the same thing with Alpha here from the Whisperers side. So that's pretty cool. And then we have this shot of, I think, Kingdom. Really nothing else we can say about that. This is just the Kingdom. Then we have this shot, which is kind of weird. It's Jerry at Kingdom, but I don't know who this new character is. I can't recall seeing them anywhere. I don't think it's Luke. Doesn't look like Luke. And this guy seems to be a cowboy. I don't know who it is, but we have him here as well. Again, this is definitely at Kingdom. Very excited to see what this is all about and who this guy is, because I don't remember seeing him anywhere. It's a new character for sure, and it's not from the comics. So it seems like it's a character that's a TV show only character. Then we have the scene with Carol and Ezekiel. Carol says, something that I can't quite make out, could be our last chance. So that's interesting. I can't quite understand what she's saying, and I've listened to it a couple times. If you know, let me know. Then we have this shot of some Kingdomers and Carol. They're in some sort of house. I don't know where it is, but they are definitely looking for something or someone. It seems like what they have going on with the Kingdom may be separate from what's going on with the Whispers at Hilltop and what we just saw during last night's episode. Because of course Carol went back to Kingdom. So they're at Kingdom and they don't know what's going on about other stuff. They don't know Jesus is dead. They don't know about the Whispers. So I think there's another kind of storyline happening at Kingdom that's outside the Whispers arc. And it's connected to the new character that's going to be introduced that we just saw, who we don't know who it is. Then we have this shot of Tara and Magna's group just walking around. Then we have this shot of Rosita and Father Gabriel. This is at Alexandria. Father Gabriel most likely knows at this point that Negan escaped, and he is extremely pissed at himself probably for being negligent and being so careless that he just left the cell open. Then we have this shot of Michonne and Judith. Most likely they are right by Jesus' grave. Then we have Daryl going to the basement that they have at the hilltop. Again, that's where the cell is, I think. That's where they're holding Henry, and most likely that's where they're going to be holding Lydia as well. And I think this is right before the conversation with Lydia and Daryl. So Daryl goes there and starts talking to Lydia. Then we have this shot of Siddiq talking to Michonne. Siddiq says, but what does it mean for Alexandria to survive if the Kingdom falls? Which is very interesting. So it seems like maybe something goes down at Kingdom, which is connected to what I just talked about before. And then we have Michonne answering, it means Alexandria survives. Re-emphasizes the fact that Michonne is all about Alexandria now. She's all about the community she's in surviving. So it's a pretty selfish kind of attitude or mentality that Michonne has at this point. And this is definitely a different type of Michonne. So something must have happened during the time jump that made Michonne like this, which is very interesting. Then we have this shot of Carol and Ezekiel. They're just talking. Then we have this scene, which is absolutely insane. We have another key character from the comic book, from the Whisperers side, called Beta. Now, I talked about Alpha. That's the main leader that the Whisperers have. Then there's another leader that they have, which is Beta, like Alpha's right-hand man. This is absolutely epic. I mean, Beta looks like a freaking monster here. And he didn't do much to look like a walker or to try to blend in with walkers, because he looks pretty much like a person wearing a bit of mask, which fits because that's exactly how Beta is in the comics. So that's pretty cool. And it seems like he has a tattoo right in the middle of his chest, like a paw. Cool and interesting. And he has his beard on, which I absolutely love. Ryan Hurst as Beta is going to be absolutely insane. I love this. Most likely, he is looking right at Daryl. Because then we get this scene where we have Beta versus Daryl. They're fighting each other. Now, I did talk about Daryl's knives and the fact that those knives are Beta's signature weapon from the comic book. And it makes a lot of sense for Beta to beat the crap out of Daryl and take those knives. And it seems like that's exactly what they're doing. Then we have this scene where Beta just grabs Daryl and slams him into the wall as if he's just grabbing a freaking kid. Just shows how much of a beast Beta is. And I'm absolutely excited to see it. Now, I hope that they don't give the Beta Negan showdown from the comic book to Daryl and Beta. I hope they don't do that. Then we have this shot of Michonne. She looks pretty pissed off and she's slicing someone with the katana. Not sure what's happening. Is she seeing another person that's dead? Maybe. But that's pretty cool. That's pretty interesting. Then we have this shot of what seems to be an abandoned factory or something like that. And we have someone walking in, most likely Negan. Then we have this shot, which is pretty epic too. We have Negan, and he's just walking there with what seems to be a stick. So no sign of Lucille. This is just a stick. Not sure if he's going to find Lucille, but at the moment, it's just a stick. And I don't think the stick can do as much damage as Lucille could. But it's going to be interesting to see what Negan does and, you know, where his story goes. Most likely they're going to follow the comics, and I'm very excited. But yeah, this was the trailer. That's the end. Absolutely epic. Very excited for the next half. As much as I enjoyed last episode and as great as it was, I am even more excited, and the second half seems more exciting and epic than what we just saw in the first half. So can't wait for the second half. Absolutely excited. That's it for this video. See you next time for another super video. If you like what you see, press like, subscribe for more content, and press the bell button to receive notifications for daily uploads. Like and follow the Facebook page of this channel to join our community, and check out the upload schedule to learn more about daily uploads.